So you imagine that you're in a meeting, and there's a person there telling you that your data is not good. I'm sure a lot of people here will not have a problem imagining that scenario. So what we typically do in those situations is we start asking questions to try and understand what's the problem. So let's say after some 15 to 30 minutes of going forth and back, we realize it's not even our data at all. There's another team out there creating the same dashboard or same type of dashboard and having the same metrics, but of course with different numbers. Okay, that happens sometimes, right? So the only thing that we need to do is we need to explain our user, everything will be fine. We just need to use our numbers, because our numbers are always the best, right? It's always the other guy out there. And everything will be fine. You end the call, and you should feel relaxed because there's no action item for you for the rest of that day. But instead of feeling relaxed, you feel a little bit disappointed because that's the third time this week something like this has happened. And now you start to question your point in this company, the whole point that you're in this company. Because if there are 5 other teams doing the same thing as me, will anyone miss me if I'm gone tomorrow from this company? What's the point? So if that keeps happening for multiple months, we're now feeling completely demotivated to do our job. So why things like this happen? There could be a number of reasons, but more or less, all of them can be traced back to a failure in your data strategy. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. So I want to show you 4 different BI organizational types, from fully centralized to fully decentralized, with 2 hybrid models in between. I will surely not say that there is a bulletproof strategy out there, but understanding the weakness of the strategy you chose to do will help you know what to focus on in order to prevent your strategy to fail down the road. Before I show you the organizational types and everything, we need something that we will use to evaluate those strategies and to compare them. How do we know which one is better for us? So what are the good traits what are the traits of good data strategy? So for sure, that's quality of our solution. That's number 1. We need to get enough quality of our, we need to solve the problem. And then the second thing is speed. It doesn't matter if our solution is great. If it's not timely, it's probably not needed by now. And at the end, we need to control our cost, because if the cost outweighs the benefits, again, it makes no sense. So I want to use these 3 traits to create factors we're going to evaluate our strategies for. So let's expand them a little bit. In the quality section, we can use business context. And what that would represent is in a potential of the strategy to have a good domain knowledge, good business knowledge. I'm sure we're all here aware of the importance of an analyst having business knowledge. We need to know what we need to analyze and how. And we need to know the more details around the process, the better. It's not only about business knowledge, it's about closeness to the business that gets us more engaged, create more relationship with our users, and we can feel more empathic. If we're organizationally very far from them, it can easily create us versus them situation where no one really cares about the struggles on the other end. And it's really hard doing a good job in that position. Another success factor would be technology expertise. This factor does not only mean how good are we in technology, it also represents our potential to get better. How much this strategy has potential to create good, strong data foundation, culture, opportunities for people to grow and to grow their skills and expertise. So speed is pretty self-explanatory. How fast are we in deploying these quality solutions? At the end, we have resource flexibility. That represents our ability to quickly allocate resources where they're needed. So just imagine one team consisting of 5 smaller teams in it. If one team struggles with capacity, we can quickly move those resources around to fill the gaps. if two teams are really embedded, deeply embedded into business units very far away, maybe they don't even know about each other. And let's face it, departmental leads are not always happy about someone else using their resources. So we're going to be much slower in this, and that's generate costs. At the end, our ability to prevent redundancy represents our ability to avoid duplication of both work and applications. So if two people are doing the same job, well, that's a waste, that's cost. And second thing is, if we have 5 applications that are targeting the same thing, well, we surely don't want to pay licenses for all those 5 applications. Okay, so now when we have our success factors, let's use them to evaluate our strategies. And we can start with strategy number 1. So this is the simplest way we can organize for sure, full centralization. We have one team supporting the whole company, right? Pretty straightforward. Insights, data, everything. What's really good about this type of organization is, as you have one centralized team, it's easy to enforce your strategy, to build good data foundation, to build technological expertise. It's easy for people to share their ideas, knowledge, and ways of solutions, and to create opportunities for them to grow their careers there. Also, we have good control over cost in the form of preventing the duplication of work, and we can quickly allocate those resources. So again, cost-wise. The 2 weak points of this model are business context and speed of delivery. Now, I want to add one more thing to this, and that is company size. So if your company is small, let's say you're a startup, you're going to have 20, 30, 40 people in total in the whole company. Now, that's small enough number of people that it doesn't matter if you're centralized, you're not going to suffer in these areas. So you can still have good business knowledge, and you're going to have the speed that is needed. But as you tend to grow, we're now a successful startup that started to grow, we can expect in those areas that we're going to have problems. We're going to increase our product complexity, our processes, and it's going to be really hard tracking what's happening. We're going to lose context, we're going to lose speed. What we can do in those situations is we can keep our team centralized, but we can decentralize our focus. So we split the teams, for example, and now those teams, although they are within the same organization, they are supporting, like almost reporting with a dotted line to these departments. This helps us address the problems with business context and with speed, because now those teams can focus only on one area and build better relationships. On the other end, so we do lose in the area of technological expertise, redundancy, and flexibility, but having in mind that we still are running a centralized organization, we're not going to lose as much. So that's definitely a solution. This model would be called hybrid centralization. Now, it looks like that this model solves everything. It's very well balanced. We get a lot of knowledge and speed. We lose a little bit of flexibility. But it's not great for all companies, because it suffers from the same problem. It's context and speed, because it's a form of centralized model. If we continue to grow to a very large organization, hundreds and hundreds of data developers, we will again start losing context and speed, inevitably, because having all people in one place and just managing that is not going to be as manageable. So what we need to do, what we are forced to do in those areas, is to decentralize, but we're not going to go to full decentralization just yet. We're going to go one step below, which is hybrid decentralization. We can move these teams into the departments themselves, which will allow them to really report to them and build even better foundation. So they're going to be one team. They're going to share the same organizational goals. They're going to sit in the same meetings. They're going to be able and share the same challenges. So definitely, we're going to get more business context and speed, but we're going to lose significant amount of control, which eventually, after some time, can lead to a drop in technological expertise and can definitely affect our ability to prevent redundancy. So I'm not saying that this will happen. I'm just saying that these are the weak points of model like this. So if we're a manager, director, even CEO, so we need to be prepared for this to happen. If we know we have a problem with preventing redundancy in this model, we can empower the rest of the centralized team we have, which is providing data in this case, to empower them more to enforce the data governance policies and also to have a really tight grip on our infrastructure and not allow the number of applications to grow exponentially. Otherwise, we're going to end up with dozens of applications for the same thing, and our cost will rise up. At the end, we're going to go full decentralization. And full decentralization in this case would be taking over even engineering activities and creating multiple teams within each business unit. So we get, again, a little bit of speed because we are right there on the spot where the requests are made. And we get more business knowledge, but we are now in the minimum level of control. This may sound a little extreme. I'm getting a little and I'm losing a lot. But this makes sense for certain types of companies. If you're a company that does not have the need for data a lot, and you can be, I mean, we are at a data science conference, so we want to promote using data, but it's not the same if we're running a manufacturing company, manufacturing brooms, or we're running Amazon, Netflix, and Google. So one are using data as a value generator, deeply embedded in their product, and the other uses data as a supporting function to improve their processes and basic control. So if we don't need a lot of data, this model can be good because it allows us to deploy our teams where they're needed. Small teams just as a supporting function. We have to understand that the weak points of this are definitely cost and the data organization and the data community strength. So in case we change our mind later, we're going to end up with, again, a lot of applications and mess that we need to clean to get to a better state. So we need to be careful with this model. In the end, so we heard here today success factors, different types of organizations, etc. So let's try summarizing that up to try and help you maybe pick the right one for you. So for organizational types, we have our success factors. How do we choose which one is for us? Well, I want to encourage you, the best way is definitely to think about what these factors mean to you. Some of you will prefer speed over maybe business context. Some will prefer control over your cost. They're not going to have the same weight for all of us. That's the best way. The other way, I can give you some general tips, but the best way, again, is to evaluate yourself. So, my tips, if you're a small company, go fully centralized. It's great to build your data team from the bottom up to enforce the great culture and pay special attention to business context and delivery speed. As you scale, you're going to see problems there. If you are a medium or large company that is not too complex, go with hybrid centralization. It solves your problem with context and speed. However, pay attention to those areas, because if you continue to grow, again, you're going to have a problem there. If you have hundreds of data employees, 300, 400, 500 data employees, so you can have thousands of employees, and especially all across the world, but you have so many of them that a centralized model cannot work for you, go for hybrid decentralization. Again, you need to pay special attention to the cost there and to put preventive measures to stop the cost from rising. And at the end, if you're using data as a supporting function, you could go fully decentralized, deploying teams only where you need them. And cost is #1 problem there if you go and scale up. Regardless of the data strategy that you pick, the most important thing is to know your weak spots so you can prepare yourself and your team to battle them before they outweigh the strengths. Thank you all. That's all I had for today.
Thank you, Stefan, for that wonderful presentation and kind of unlocking organizational structures for some of our attendees. This is what this track is kind of all about, people in higher positions sharing knowledge. So I would like to open the floor for any questions we might have. Okay, over there.
Thank you. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. You mentioned that from hybrid centralization and hybrid decentralization, there is a drop in technology expertise. Where do you mainly see the drop? In which types of skills?
Yes, so it's not only, the drop will not happen instantly, it's the ability to build that, to build the skill set. So, for example, if you take the two same company with same people, and you put them into two different data strategies. If you put those people in a centralized model where they can talk to each other, they have the ability to create standards. They can say, hey, I found a great way to solve my problem. While if they are very far apart, maybe one is sitting in Serbia, another is in Japan, they can not know even about each other. One is maybe supporting I'm talking about decentralization now. So one is deep into the marketing, and another is supporting operations. Two completely different regions. So they don't even know about each other, and yet to discuss, the best practices. And the assumption here is, the more we do, the more we work with each other, we can push each other more. And there is one more thing there, because let's say you want to try here. Everything is about AI today. So you want to try AI, you want to try some new technologies. If you have one strong team, centralized team, there is a much higher chance for that leader to support you and invest a little bit, even to play in that area, versus a business leader that, this is not a rule, this is maybe a stereotype, but they will think about improving their business first and not letting you play with some hypothetical solutions.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for the question. Do we have any more? As I also mentioned, if you guys think of anything after the talk, feel free to find Stefan in the hallway and in the expo zone. You're free to visit their booth and see our Atlios. And yeah, if we don't have any more questions, I want to thank you, Stefan.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for the wonderful talk.
Thank you all.
We